guys, so today I'm going to show you how I made my very own wand. I've made a couple in the past, but I didn't put as much work into them as this one. They were usually like a stick that I found out in nature, maybe threw some glitter on, but this one I really brought out the witchy crafting skills and put my heart and soul into this, and that was the idea. I really wanted a wand to resonate with me, one that I really connected with. So here is the finished product. I don't know if you can see all of it. I'm trying out this new camera angle because I shot this entire video outside, so why not shoot this outside, you know? So I'm going to bring you through how I made this, and I'm going to make another video on ways that we can utilize the wand in witchcraft. I think this is probably one of the most magical tools, at least within pop culture. Anytime someone thinks of witchcraft, wizardry, things like that, the wand always pops into mind. And it's real. It's a real tool that a lot of witches utilize. So just talking a little bit about what I used here. The stick itself is applewood. Applewood has extremely magical properties, especially in the path that I do, more of Celtic folk magic. I used copper wire. It's purple, but it's actually copper. I used purple wire because purple is my favorite color. If my soul was a color, it would probably be purple. I don't know if you can tell. I used just your run-of-the-mill quartz point, and I actually had this charging on an amethyst cluster for a very, very long time before I actually made this wand. I also used an amethyst sphere and then these beautiful amethyst chip ropes. This I had to find online. The ropes I found at my local craft store. This quartz point I found at my local metaphysical store. The wire I found at my local craft store. And also I used suede cord for the handle and a hot glue gun to hold this all together. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and get into the process. Hi guys, okay, so now I'm out here, I'm about to start the whittling process. Excuse me if it's a little loud, I'm outside, I don't really want to do this in the house, I'm on my patio, and it's the morning, so you'll hear garbage trucks and birds chirping and the wonderful busy town that I live in. So, alright, basically, when you're whittling, you want to be concentrating and thinking about spirituality. It might be a good idea to cast a circle if that's something that you do, light some candles, some incense, however it is that you get into that sacred meditative state. You might want to go ahead and do that. So I'm going to be sitting here applying my power and merging my energy into this wood with every stroke of the whittling knife. So now that we talked about the magical aspect of whittling this wand down, we should talk about the safety precautions. So obviously keep your hands away from the blade, have a nice grip on it. Always whittle away from yourself. You don't want to whittle towards yourself. I actually have a scar here on my thumb. I don't know if you guys can see it. I used to work in a kitchen and I opened a bag towards me, totally filleted my hand. That needed, I think it was 7 stitches. Not a fun experience, so always whittle away from you. I have a trash bag set up here. I'm not quite sure why those pieces I whittled went everywhere except the trash bag, but I'm trying to be clean. So yeah, you just want to whittle and really merge your energy into the wood. Get acquainted with it, know it. If you are into animism, quite like I am, everything kind of has its own energy and a spirit of its own. You really want a sharp knife. This is the first time I've ever used this knife, so I'm getting this really nice, clean cut. It's wonderful. So now that I talked about the whittling process, that's exactly what I'm going to do, and I will get back to you guys when that aspect of this process is done, and we can talk about the next step. Until then. Hi everyone, so I'm not exactly done with the whittling process, but in this process I came across a teeny tiny little bug, and that's okay. This came from nature, and it's actually to be expected that you might find one or two, but I thought it would be important to mention that you want a good piece of wood. If you look here, I mean, this end is a little jacked up, but I'm going to take that off. You want to make sure there's no holes, and you'll see like these perfect little round holes if there was really a bug problem. And I didn't come across anything quite like that. And during this entire whittling process, I only saw one. So I'm going to go ahead and continue with this piece of wood. This is a good piece of wood. But when you're out in nature and you are collecting branches, especially fallen branches, you want to look at the branch, make sure it's not rotten, that it's still held together, make sure it didn't really get wet from rain. You want to be working with a good piece of wood, no bugs, no holes, no infestations. So I just wanted to go ahead and mention that as I'm sitting here thinking about it. But yeah, we're almost done with the whittling process, and then we will get to sanding. Hi, okay, so I said I would come back when we're ready to do sanding, but I did want to touch upon one more thing. I've gotten to the point in making this wand that I'm going to go ahead and choose a length for it. I left this knob on, and the knobs, they're upward, because that's my indicator of how long I want this wand. So, in some traditions, Kitty, that is Blue, he is my baby kitten, and that is Jasper. He has been with me for almost 6 years now. He is my fat butt baby, and this is my not so fat butt baby. Okay. So, I think in some traditions, the wand should be as long as your arm. I don't think I necessarily want it that long. My wand, my rules. So, I'm going to go ahead and cut that. I am going to use a saw because this little whittling knife is just not made for that. And just whittling what I did, the blade is already so much more dull than it was when we started off. Alright guys, so I'm done whittling and we're ready to get sanding. So what you're looking for is for your wood to be generally smooth. You're definitely going to have like the whittling marks where you could see the knife is kind of straight. That's fine, we're going to sand that all down. But you want any knots removed if you want the knots removed. You'll want the type of pattern that you want. I really like all these natural kind of ringlets in the wood. I'm not a master woodworker, so this isn't going to be up to par to some of you master woodworkers out there, but it's good for me. So normally you would want to go with a heavier grit and then progressively get finer and finer. But I have quite a lot of this, and I don't think it's going to take much to get my wand to the smoothness that I desire, so we're just going to sand it with that. It might take a little bit longer, but whatever. I don't feel like going to the store. So I'm going to get sanding, and after that, I think it'll be time for carving symbols, if that is what I choose to do. I have not decided yet. Or possibly we will be working on staining it. So I will see you then. Okay, so now we finally got to the portion where I'm going to be staining my wand. This is the stain that I picked. I'm going with like a little bit of darker wood. And then I also have this gloss. It's kind of like to seal it. And I'll be applying it with some standard staining pads. So there are probably more natural options than polyurethane and wood stain, but I'm not really too concerned about it. If you're a real naturalist, I'm sure you can look into plant-based stains and things of that nature, but I'm okay with the Home Depot variety. So, yeah. Okay, so you should be doing this in an extremely well-ventilated area. I'm doing this outside on my patio. So what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna get a little bit of this. Don't need a whole lot, it's just a wand. And I'm going to apply thin coat over top. Just kind of rubbing that in as even as I can get it. Wow, that's gorgeous. That is beautiful. I'm also wearing gloves because this just seems like a rather messy process. See, I did the whole wand with that little bit. You really don't need a lot. And I don't even think I want a second coat, honestly. That is beautiful. But we'll see how it looks as it soaks, as the wood soaks it up. So yeah, I'm gonna let that dry. Cap this up. And we'll see how that does in an hour. It takes, yep, 1 hour to dry. So we'll fast forward to then. So I've let my wand dry for a little over 24 hours. The can of wood stain said dries in 1 hour. That is a lie. So here we are. I'm about to do the finish on it. And basically my idea for this is I'm just gonna spray it down and then let it dry and flip the stick and spray it down one more time. Because I don't really have anywhere that I could like hang it to do one even coat all around. So yeah, I think I'm gonna let that dry also for, you know, at least a good couple of hours. I don't know if it's gonna take as long as the wood stain, but yeah, we'll be back when that's done. So now I think our next order of business is going to be to make the handle. There's like this lovely curve right here, and then it like straightens out. So I think this is where, you know, the grip feels the best. So what I'm gonna do is plug in my hot glue gun. We're gonna let that heat up, and what I'm going to use for my handle is this suede cord. It's black. I'm definitely a fan of darker colors, but my idea is I'm just going to wrap probably from like here up about my hand width. I like my thumb to rest on the actual wood. I feel like it helps me just, or even my finger, conduct energy better. So my wrap is mostly going to be for the palm of my hand. And once my hot glue gun heats up, I'm going to put a little dot of glue, an itty bitty one, and secure that. And then I'll just start wrapping. And yeah. There we go. Okay, so where do I want to start this? There. A little further up. All I need is a teeny tiny dot. Now, you might want to consider in what direction you're wrapping this. I'm not too worried about it, but I am going sunwise. And maybe every so often you're going to want to put another little dot of glue just to keep it secured. Like I said, you really don't need too much, because you don't want it to ooze out and look a little weird, you know what I mean? So now we have the handle on my wand. So now I'm going to put on the tip. Now, I'm going to wire wrap it, but I'm also going to fill in some gaps with hot glue. Now, people might argue that they want the crystal precisely touching the stone. If you are one of those people, don't get a crystal that's kind of jagged like mine is, because I do want my crystal to sit straight, and you'll see there's like a tiny little gap of space in between there. So I'm going to follow. My wood kind of has like somewhat of a groove, and I suppose I could have sanded this down a little bit more, but I'm not too worried about it. So we're gonna get it as straight as possible. Add some hot glue. Like so. And plop this guy right on top, just like that. And in all fairness, the crystal is still touching the wood. So we're gonna let that dry and make sure that it's fully dry before we make any other moves. I'm actually gonna fill in just a little bit more. Yeah, just like that. Now, you don't have to make this really pretty because we're gonna wire wrap around it just to secure it a little bit more and also to make it look pretty and to add the element of copper.